up, and thanks for being a trooper, Patty.
Not at all.
All right, feed's back.
All right, that's back.
Yep.
All right. So if you guys are just coming back in slowly, if you guys can go ahead and reshare it for me. If not, we'll make do and we'll figure it out in the long run. But we'll definitely have to patch the audio together for the podcast end of things. But we were talking, what were we talking? Cameras when it froze up?
The last thing you said was that she had to scan a lot of her pictures in.
Okay, because she was using the old 35
She was using 35 millimeter camera.
Did you hear us talking about the 110?
No, that's the last thing that came through was the whole scanning thing.
Okay, so we were talking about how Patty used to use 110 film. So all right, we got some people coming back in. All right, so we were talking. We ended up going into vinyl records after we were talking about film. We went into
putting me back behind the curtain.
Oh yeah, you're still up here. We were talking about vinyls and some of your favorite vinyls that you still had from back in the day. Go ahead and pick back up and tell me what kind of vinyls you had.
Just everything. I have colored vinyls, shaped vinyls, clear vinyl. One of the rarest ones I have is the original Motley Crue 45 that they pressed in the 80s.
And then you said they used to throw them out?
I think they said they pressed like 5,000 of them and they tossed them out into the crowds.
That is so cool. Do you see church tossing 45 in those?
I just tossed them out like frisbees into the crowd.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious. I'd probably have to run and duck for that because they would just start tossing them out. So when you were going to these shows, of course, you hear all the fun horror stories. You had some pictures with these guys. Did you have any really cool stories from back in the 80s, probably from the hair metal end of shows?
I was a good girl.
Was that? Oh yeah, you were. But like, what kind of like good stories or that you witnessed while you're at the shows? I mean, I know you were like me. People watch, hang out, watch a good show. But like what would you like some things that you would see back then?
Nothing really stands out in particular.
Mm-hmm. Just wild concerts, huh?
Everyone's just having a good time. They're half dressed.
Oh yeah. So do you have any autographs from back then, like on these vinyls or anything?
No, mostly it was pictures. I never thought to get autographs.
See, that's how I am now. Like I don't really collect many autographs anymore. I like to get the pictures now, just because the pictures I think are gonna last longer. But yeah, I mean, you definitely. I was sharing some pictures earlier. You had a Slaughter's drummer and everything. Like you have those photos that are gonna definitely be around. I'm sure you have just boxes and boxes of photos.
And the Skid Row one, a friend and me chased their tour bus through Boston. We had lights to follow them to get to meet them.
That's always you gotta do. Well, they used to always put their name on their tour bus back in the 80s too, right?
But we also saw them come out of the venue and go on. So we ran to the car and we just chased them.
That is so cool. I can see you running out. So what was your turning point? I mean, well, not even your turning point, but when did you really start listening to more of the country music, or what really led you to Eric Church and discovering Eric Church?
Sounds stupid, but Bon Jovi.
No, that's awesome.
Nichols, Tequila Makes Her Clothes Fall Off.
Mm-hmm.
The Bon Jovi message board, they were talking about that song. So I'm like, well, I got to find this song. Scanning the video channels, and I saw Eric Church's house. And I just remember standing with my jaw dropped. And that was it.
After How About You video?
It had just come out. It was like in May of 2006, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it, and I loved how they were switching off the camera. It was different, it was unique, but it was simple. And then I loved the song.
What you connected? What made you connect like Eric Church with maybe your past musical? Just like you're on the Bon Jovi message boards, and you went in to find a Joe Nichols or song or whatever, the Tequila song, and then discover Eric Church. But what was kind of the similarities that you were seeing with Eric Church and maybe like the hair metal bands you were listening to?
There wasn't a lot of similarities. He was different.
Mm-hmm.
Like that he sounded different. He had a little bit of a rock sound to him.
Yeah.
His country, which now I like country, but at the time I was like, oh, country.
And that's crazy. I mean, so during the 90s, were you still listening to rock music, or were you listening to, I mean, did Garth ever kind of cross you in the 90s? Damn. So it took church to kind of change you, huh?
It was Eric Church. I even remember in the 90s thinking that Garth was just ripping off the 80s hair bands with his big. Now I can appreciate what he did, but back then I was like, oh, he's just ripping off the hair bands. Don't hate me, everybody.
No, no, that's awesome. That is so cool. So what were let's rewind a little bit. What were some of the bands you were listening to in the 90s still that were relevant in the 90s? Did you ever get either Nirvana or anything like that?
I also was going through a phase where I didn't like grunge because it killed the hair bands.
All right.
Yes, I'm right there with you, Patty, on that one.
But I was mostly just like listening to the 80s stuff, and I was listening to like a lot of Elton John at that point. I had just become a mom in the 90s, so it changed a little bit for a while. I was focused more on having kids and buying a house, and so that's when I kind of stepped back from music a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has to take a break at times. I mean, for sure. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this last year's been nice. It's kind of, but when I got out Sunday, I had some live music, and I was like, oh, finally again. But for you, just kind of going in from that to country, though, I'm sure Eric Church was a good transition because of the rock side he had. So it was probably still keeping you a little bit to your roots, by taming you. But having kids, I mean, you probably, because you were really prominent. Showing this picture here, how old were your kids when you first introduced them to church?
Stopped working for me, so I can't see it. But is it when they were little?
It's when you were on the other side of the fence. It was that show.
That was in 2008.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was. This is gonna be rough now with these pictures.
They were 12 and 8 at that point. That was at the Indian Ranch.
Yes. Okay. What was your first time you ever took them to a show?
The first show they ever went to was in 2006. It was Kenny Chesney at Gillette Stadium.
Oh man, how old were they at the time?
And 10.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out when I could really take Jackson to a really good show. We've taken him to a couple, but I figure I got a few more years.
Well, Kaylee ended up loving it. Ben, not so much. The second show was actually Eric Church opening for Brad Paisley.
Oh yeah, that was your first church show, right?
It was at a fair.
That is awesome. Just to be able to take them so long. Oh, hey, we got a Boston person in the house too.
Yeah, but I can't.
J Mac is who it is that's talking it. So what was your first church show again?
It was Eric was opening for Brad Paisley. It was at the Big E.
Yeah, at the fair, and that was probably like mid 2006, right?
So September.
Oh, okay. So that was after the How About You hour, the album came out, Sinner's album came out.
Oh, so I knew it and I was excited.
That is awesome. Did you stick around for Brad's whole show, or did you leave early?
Loved Brad Paisley at the time, so we stayed for the whole show. And then the band came out and pranked them.
Oh, Church's band did?
Last show with a tour. So Brad pranked Eric, and then Eric pranked him back.
Oh man, I remember back in the day when they used to do pranks. It was during the Young and Wild tour, and I know Singleton was pranking Church, and they were vice versa, and that was always fun seeing that. So, what kind of pranks were they doing back then?
Well, Brad just put up like during these boots, he put up a video of different shoes and Eric heels, cartoon. And then Eric and the band came out with the cowboy hats, and they were putting Eric Church stickers all over everything.
Oh my god.
It wasn't anything huge, but
That is hilarious. Now, did you ever see anything like that with bands like in the 80s or 90s, like try to prank each other on tour or anything like that?
and no, they mostly came out and would join each other at the end. So you'd have like all the bands come out and play together.
What's the most epic finale you ever saw?
I don't know. I've been to so many shows. I don't know. For some reason, Bon Jovi played, Cinderella was opening for them, and Steven Tyler came out as a surprise, and they were all playing together. And I remember that one.
That is so cool. I got two that come to mind when I think about it. One I'm probably gonna get shot for in the crowd, but one, my dad took me to see Kid Rock, Run DMC, and Aerosmith, and they all closed with "Walk This Way," and that was so cool to see all of them. And it was right before I think Jam Master Jay got shot. It was like almost like 2 or 3 months, but it was so cool to see all three of them. And then the other one, I took my wife a couple years ago to see Florida Georgia Line, Backstreet Boys, and Nelly at Wrigley Field. Nelly never sang. I think it was "Hot in Here." Backstreet Boys didn't sing "Everybody," and then Florida Georgia Line, of course, didn't do "Cruise." And for the encore, they came out, and Nelly did "Hot in Here." Then it went into Backstreet Boys, "Everybody." Like they all did it together, and they ended with "Cruise." But it was so cool because they saved like their three biggest hits for the encore, and they actually lit the bleachers of Wrigley Field on fire. What was that? Go ahead and repeat. Hey, before you say something, pause like 2 seconds after I'm done and then say it. I think we're just getting a little bit of feedback that's cutting off like your first couple of words.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds bad. Yeah, go ahead and say what you said after when I was talking about the epic finale.
Just you have to be open-minded for all kinds of music. They all have their good points, and they all benefit different people.
Yeah, I agree. And that's still to this day, like I'll tell people that was probably one of my top 5 like big like endings to a concert. I thought it was so cool to see, for one, see them all perform together, but see them perform the different hits together and stuff too. It was pretty. So, man, that would have been cool for Bon Jovi and Steven Tyler though. So, what did you think the one time when Church got to actually sing with Steven Tyler? I mean, that had to be for you. That's a highlight.
That was really cool. I watched the video on YouTube again recently.
Yeah, so did I. As I was like going through, I was like, oh, I forgot about this time when they performed together. It was always fun. So, one thing I want to talk about. Let me go ahead and bring up a picture real quick for everybody. But when Patty and I first really started digging into church and going to shows in the day, Eric had a different guitar player than a lot of people see today. Eric had a guy named Ed Smoke that was in his band from probably 2006 to, I don't know when Ed left. It was during, oh God, what was that one where the tour where he was on the side stage and everybody got him on the main stage? I forgot the name of that tour. I don't know why I'm drawing blank. Throwdown. I didn't have to turn around too far. Country Throwdown. So I know Ed left shortly after that, which I think was like 2009, 2010. But what was it like having Ed Smoke in the ECB?
Oh, I just loved him. We still to this day call the left side of the stage Ed side. I don't know. I loved him. We connected really well, and he don't know. He made you feel comfortable and at home. It sounds weird, I know.
No, I totally agree.
I remember having to change film in my camera and looked up, and Ed was standing laughing at me. Oh, I don't know. We just got along really well, connected. I thought he was a good guitarist too, clearly.
I liked I always thought like Ed would bring something different to the band. I felt like, so back when Ed was in the band, when Eric would do Before She Does, he would always have the talk box that would intro into the song, which was phenomenal. During Two Pink Lines, you get the harmonica playing right before the intro, Two Pink Lines. Just some really cool stuff that he would bring to the stage that Cease brings some really cool stuff, don't get me wrong, to the stage as well. But it was just always cool to see Smoke up there. And like Patty said, it was. I mean, I felt like he was real personable. And for a lot of people that don't know, Ed did lose his brother while he was out with Church for a while. And it was a plane accident. He was a citrus farmer down in Florida. And I think that's why he ended up leaving ultimately to go ahead and take care of the family farm. But it was fun having Ed around. And I just definitely want to talk to him about him a little bit tonight. I think he's slowly getting forgot about with the new age Church. Yeah. So
I really miss him still. And I know Jeff's been in the band longer than Ed was.
Yeah.
But I do miss him.
Yeah, it was always fun. He was always interactive, but that was always smaller shows. That's why he was more interactive at times.
That's what I
So,
was
what was that?
thinking about that tonight. Like the shows were much smaller venues, so people back for that more.
So, when you first started listening to Eric, or when you went to see him open for Brad Paisley, did you know much about like the fan club, or I mean, you knew like message boards and stuff because you had Bon Jovi's show and all that other stuff, or website and all that. But what was your first like real taste of digging into Eric Church's fan club?
I searched them out when I got home, and I actually joined the board the day after the show, and just made a review and talked about how great he was with my kids. He was just amazing because we stayed and met him after the show, and the music reeled me in, but the way he treated my kids kept me.
Mm-hmm.
You have kids, so you know, like when people treat you really well, you have more respect for them.
Yep.
And then I just dove in head first.
That happened with my wife, and she was a Sox fan for a while, Chicago White Sox fan, and then Chris Bryant was very good to our son Jackson. Now she's a Cubs fan. At least that's what I say. But yeah, it's definitely it was cool to see all that, and really when the message board started. What was your first name on, or what was your name on the message board?
It was just Patti Tib. But somewhere along the line, it got changed to Head Dork Patti Tib.
And what was that? Why did it get changed to that?
They kept calling me a dork.
What was that?
Silly and goofy, and they called me a dork.
Oh. You were never a dork, though. You're always fun.
Changed it just to be funny, and then everyone loved it, and I kept it. So.
Okay. Yeah, we're having a little bit of sound issue, I guess. Is it just because it's cutting in and out, or is it okay? Yeah, that's what I figured. They're just letting us know because the sound on there is cutting in and out, but we'll make do. We'll work with it and get through. So, with the message boards, you're already used to talking on there, but when everybody started talking or posting on there, what was something like the best topics you remember from like 2006, 2008 era in there when Eric, before the message boards ended?
I loved when we would all do our reviews. Those were always fun. I love that Eric used to do a journal on there to keep us up to date on what was going on. We were just silly. There was only probably maybe 25 of us that were active. Everyone got along, and we were all just having fun. I don't remember anything really specific.
Yeah, there wasn't many of us. Some of the coolest things, I mean, I always think the band messed with us for a couple of the things. I mean, we always had a few interesting topics on there where we didn't know what was going on.
Do you remember Lauren when she came back and posted that Eric was missing a big toe for April Fools? that she had invaded his privacy and made it public. But
Go ahead and repeat what you said one more time. I'm sorry, cut out. So I'm sorry.
Oh, just that Lauren, remember the Mustang Girls?
Mm-hmm.
They posted that Eric was missing a big toe because they had seen it at a show. And everyone got all riled up and angry at them.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun time. I mean, they did a lot of that. They would always mess around. I'm actually working on maybe having one of them on the show down the road, so it might be kind of fun.
Going on back then.
Go ahead and repeat that one more time. I'm sorry.
We had a big, nice group. You know, we all got along and we all supported each other.
Yeah, that was amazing. We did. It was. We always wanted Eric to grow up or not grow up, but his career to blow up and him to grow into who he is today. But we knew we were going to eventually lose our little group that we had. And we did. It grew into something even bigger and better, I believe.
Yeah, it's good. Like, really good for him.
He's filling those ponds.
Yep.
So, do you still collect anything, or what is kind of like talking about like church memorabilia? What's some of your oldest church memorabilia that you have?
I have a lot of stuff. My favorite is the map that he did for me.
Go ahead, tell us that story. I want you got to tell everybody his map story. Oh, go ahead and start over. I'm sorry. Whenever I start talking, it cuts you off for some reason. I don't know why it's doing this. It's weird.
It's okay. No, I sent him a map so that he could find Massachusetts. I highlighted it, put sticky notes where venues were. And that fall, he mapped me back. One of the girls gave him a map and he signed it, and then he circled his hometown and where the show was, and he wrote his name on it, which was really.
That is so good. There's little goofy things that he would used to do. And did that map end up like in a video too?
Yeah, he did a thank you because Kim took everything to a home show, and he did a thank you to all of the choir, and he talked about the map. And then he booked a show for a couple months later, and he said he booked it because he followed the map.
That is so cool. And it was cool that he used to do like personal things, and he still to this day does things. So talk about a little bit on the Double Down tour when I know you were out in the crowd and he actually found you in the crowd, right?
Yeah, and I forget which one's which now. He did it on the Double Down tour. He bent down from the stage and gave me a kiss on the cheek, which was really sweet.
I bet you pissed off some girls around you that night.
But like it was kind of funny because all of a sudden there were all these screams around me. Derek.
I remember the old picture of Dolores kissing Eric like right on the lips, and people would still see it to this day and still get pissed off.
She went to kiss him on the cheek and he turned his head. Lips.
And that forever would be like the most epic Eric Church or just choir member profile picture, because there's a picture of just them right there. Just
it was awesome. She was really sick then, and Todd rushed her through the line because she couldn't stand and wait.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't too long after that is when we lost her, because it wasn't much longer. Oh, there's an old picture of Marshall I'm showing. Jeez, man, young. So let's see where I want to go. We got a few more questions before we move on to our next round of things. Let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk. Let's talk a little bit about the new album coming out. What are you excited for? So for me, I haven't really listened to much. I'm trying to really stay away from listening to these singles, and I want to hear the whole thing together. But for you, for being a fan for the last 15 years and knowing what he's getting ready to put out, what are you anticipating?
I think with him, I don't even know what to expect anymore.
I agree. So what do you think? What are you thinking so far from what you've heard of the album that you think it's going to be?
I'm not sure because there's some stuff on it I like what I've heard and some that I don't like. I am not a fan of Bad Mother Trucker at all. I'm hoping it'll grow on me, but right now, and there's other songs I really like a lot.
I agree with Trucker too. That was actually the song that made me say, I'm going to wait till the album comes out and listen to the whole thing. So, yeah, I agree with you. I don't know what to expect. I feel like we are getting more of maybe a classic rock album, like a Bob Seger-ish feel. Go ahead and say that again. I'm sorry.
Oh, that was my fault. I'm sorry.
Okay, I saw your lips move. I'm like, oh no. So, let's see. I want to talk before we wrap all this up, and get off all music, everything else. You and I both have other loves and interests too, but you take your family out. You guys do a lot of exploring, and I know we've talked in the past about different ghost stories and paranormal things. But tell me what kind of got you involved in it, or kind of got you digging in all this.
I just grew up in a house that had spirits. We had a residual haunting, which was a woman who walked down the hall. There was a Native American Indian. It was kind of cool. I wasn't scared. It was normal.
I feel that we get that a lot from people where they say, "Yeah, it just felt normal. It was nothing that was out of the ordinary, just something that was supposed to be there." You've gone to Lizzie Borden house. I don't think you live pretty close to it, don't you?
45 minutes.
So tell me about that. Tell me all about your Lizzie Borden experience.
It was a super cool tour. It was just me and my son. No one else was there that day. There was nothing paranormal. The guy that did the tour said he had never experienced anything himself. I was kind of disappointed. I don't know why. But it was really cool, and he was able to talk more about the stories and what happened with the family. But there was nothing going on.
It was still pretty cool to probably go and check that out. Now, have you ever gone to Salem? Being from Boston area, you're not far from Salem, but if you have, tell me some stories from Salem.
Again, nothing. I've never saw anything unusual, but we've gone with the kids. Never at Halloween, but we've gone and done like the Salem Witch Museum and all of that, and it's a lot of fun. It really is. It's interesting. You learn some history along with just entertainment.
That's what got me really digging into the whole paranormal thing, is just the history of all this stuff and to see what's still left. I love digging into. I mean, there's really not much left. I mean, it's kind of all disappearing and decaying out there, but love digging into these old buildings and seeing about them, finding out about them, and the old histories. What's your favorite ghost story that you've ever heard growing up, either to be like a true story or something that was fictional?
I don't know. I experienced so much on my own that I didn't really think a lot of it. I wasn't scared by a lot of ghost stories. To me, they were just there.
They're normal.
We have a fort out here that there's an area that I am just terrified to walk into, though. It has really bad vibes in it, and I won't go in.
Oh man. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on before we wrap up here in a few minutes. I am sponsored by Poddex. I'll put the audio in here in a little bit after I do it and be on the audio version. So, but our first card that I pulled tonight, and the question was, have you ever had a "this can't be happening" moment, and what was it? So, if it was with church or maybe with Motley Crue or Bon Jovi, anytime when you just kind of thought to yourself like, "Damn, this is really cool right now, and this is actually happening."
I've had a lot with Eric. When he leaned down and gave me a kiss on the cheek, I was like, I can't believe he just did that. I thought he was just maybe going to wave if he saw me. One real cool one was last year. Logan Mize, I went to one of his shows, and he got a drink and came over and sat at the table with my daughter and I for about a half an hour and just hung out with us. That was really cool.
That is neat. I am definitely digging on Logan Mize lately.
He's after Eric. He's my favorite.
You put me onto him years ago. I mean, I started listening to him because I knew how passionate you were about him, and lately though, he's been turning it up a few notches.
I can't wait for his album.
It's gonna be a good one. Give me one that's give me another non-Eric one. Maybe one that happened pre-2000.
Chasing Skid Row's tour bus was huge.
I love that.
Very, very timid back in the day, so I didn't go and meet a lot of people. I know there was one. There was a band which you wouldn't know, and they I stopped to talk to one of the guitarists, and he asked me what my favorite song was, and he was like, well, I don't think we're gonna play that. It's not on the set list. And then he played it, but he looked for me before they started it and waved, which is kind of. It was in the 80s.
That is so cool though, that people like that still do that. I love how like artists will connect with that. And like a song that's not on the set list, but just because you said, "Hey, that's your favorite," they called you out and played it for you. That's pretty neat.
I actually got Eric played Planet Earth, if you remember that song, for me once when I told him how much I loved it.
What was it?
Earth?
Oh, nice. Yeah. He man, I got him to play Dang Me once, which was pretty crazy.
I do remember that.
So the second card I pulled was a ghost one, but we kind of already talked about it. But I wanted to ask you to stick on the whole paranormal and the ghost thing. The question was the first ghost story or haunt that got you into paranormal hauntings, which kind of already answered that. But if you could go and actually spend the night in any place that is rumored to be haunted, or just some place that you would like want to check out, where would it be, and why would you want to go check that place out?
Waverly would be kind of cool. And there's that fort, the old military fort down near us. If I could stay overnight down there, that would be amazing. Except that one room I won't go in.
Well, I'll have to get you out with us sometime.
What?
I'll have to bring you out with us sometime.
Yeah, that would say I'm a little scared. I had to learn how to shut them off. Like I actually had to deliver a message to Ed from his brother.
Really?
Very awkward, but I had to learn how to shut them off.
Wow, well, you're not going to talk about that sometime. That's interesting. That really interests me.
Yeah, I'll talk about it afterwards. But what I said, he knew it was his brother coming through.
Yeah, he just knew it was him, huh?
What?
That's crazy. J Max says creepy forest in Western Massachusetts. Dude, I want to get up to Massachusetts so bad and check all that out. Definitely Salem, the whole area. It's always been a thing I wanted to check out. So, all right, we're gonna do a hot seat tonight. We're gonna no volume. Yeah, we won't do any sound or anything. What this is a rapid fire game. I'm gonna ask you 10 questions. The first thing that came to your mind, just spit out the first answer. We'll see how fast we get through it. Your first cassette tape you ever owned?
Maybe Motley Crue.
What's your hometown famous for?
Thomas Everett Scott, who was in That Thing You Do.
Dude, that's awesome. All right. Yeah. I love that movie. What poster was on your bedroom wall in middle school?
I wasn't allowed to have posters on my wall.
I was waiting for one of those answers because, man, my parents would never let me do something. One day I got so mad, I spray painted my whole bedroom like black with a can of spray paint, like Metallica around the wall. And man, I get in so much trouble that day.
If you knew my stepfather, you wouldn't do that.
So what's the strangest thing you've ever seen in the middle of the road?
In the middle of the road? Not much. Maybe geese. Turtle.
Last week's answer was sex, so it's gonna be hard to beat that. What's a chore or housework that you refuse to do?
I really can't refuse to do anything, but I hate to do dishes.
All right, you gotta pass that on. Be like, hey, what's one thing people buy that you think is a waste of money?
Ready? Alcohol.
Hey, I agree, man. I'm like 400 and some days getting in, so I agree.
Go to shows and they buy like an $8 beer. I'm like, what are you doing?
And then they pour it on the person next to them. Spill half of it. What is the oldest item you own?
The oldest item I own is a Bible from the 1800s.
Ooh, man, both of our eyes just Chase and our eyes were like, whoa. How did you acquire this item?
My grandmother's.
Man, that is amazing.
I have a history book from the 1800s.
Jeez, that is amazing.
And I'm a pack rat, so.
It's funny. The next question I already asked her too. The next one is if you could stay the night at any haunted location. You said Waverly. I already had that one already pre asked, so we'll take one that one. The oddest job you've ever taken to earn $1.
The hardest job
Mm-hmm.
is my part-time job, my grocery store.
Okay.
And sore and abused by customers. Yeah.
My mom spent like 30 plus years in a grocery store, so I'm sure she feels you on that one.
Soldering. I used to have to sit and solder, but I'd still rather do that.
So the last question, before I let you go for the night, what's something that's still on your bucket list? So maybe a band you want to see or a venue you want to go to.
I would love to go to Red Rocks.
Nice.
I've seen most of the bands I want to see, and a few I didn't.
What's some that you didn't?
a lot of them are like the up and coming rock bands, and I was just like, oh, or like, no, Jewel was horrible.
I got to ask you about a band. So since you did the 80s hair metal, I found this and I've seen this band 2 or 3 times. Every time I've seen them, they were either too drunk, but every time I've seen this band, the guitar player is always broken in damn strength. But have you ever seen Dokken sober before?
I saw them in the 80s a few times, but I don't remember if they were sober or not.
Because every time I've ever seen Dokken, it's been like the worst show I've ever seen.
I haven't seen them since probably like 88, 89.
Wow. All right, Patti, it's been great talking with you tonight. I'm sorry about all the technical issues again, but we'll have to do this again. Next time we see each other, we'll have to sit down and we'll record something. We'll have a blast talking.
Supposed to see each other last May.
That's right. We were. Well, as I was supposed to, I was supposed to come out and see you because I was going to do my graduation and everything else. And that's right when everything got shut down.
So maybe next time.
I'm still coming up there. Once they do a graduation, I'm still coming out there. That's the time I'll get to Massachusetts. So we'll all have to get together and do dinner or something.
Be awesome. Definitely.
Hell yeah. We'll go to Salem and do a night or something. All right, Patti, you take care. We'll talk again soon. Okay.
Too.
All right. Thank you again so much.
Bye.
All right, guys. That was an amazing show tonight. Let me go ahead and grit this off. I do apologize for all the difficulties. I'll get together with her. We'll record something sometime soon because, man, she'd be phenomenal to talk about or talk to. So many good stories. I'm sorry, dude. That was rough.
Hey, you know,
We're trying.
it's all right. It's not your fault. It's technical issues, and
Yeah, I don't know what happened with the feed too. It's cutting in and out like that.
at least you got through it. We got to talk to her a little bit. It's all good. It's all good. She's very sweet. And she's an 80s girl. I like that a lot.
Dude, you should spend, if anybody out there gets a chance to spend a few hours in the Eric Church line waiting to get pit with Patti, definitely do so because it's amazing.
I would love to talk 80s music with that woman sometime.
Some vinyl. She probably has some amazing
I'll bet you she's got picture discs. Do you even know about those?
My parents told me about them, but
so like vinyl, but they were actually pictures. So like the one picture disc that I had was from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, but the vinyl was a picture.
The vinyl itself was a picture.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Dude, I
cool.
had a couple of those, but it wasn't Rocky Horror. I'll have to see. My dad has a hell of a vinyl collection. I can't wait to read it again.
Yeah.
I've done it a couple of times. I need to do it again sometime soon. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us tonight on episode 74. It was amazing to catch up with Patti. I can't wait to see her show again soon. I really do miss the old days of the choir, but this is what we wanted. We wanted to see our church's career grow, and it has. And it's gone into something really cool. Next week, unfortunately, Matt Kenyon did have to reschedule yet again. Apparently his knife opened in his pocket when he put his hand in there, so he's unable to play. So we are going to reschedule later on in season 4 again with him. Third time is a charm. I have not yet landed next week's guest. I will have one tomorrow, and we'll have the announcement tomorrow. I do promise. So if anybody out there is listening that wants to jump on last minute, let me know. But next week is our season 3 wrap up, and then season 4 will start a couple weeks after that. I think the 16th is somewhere. I don't know. We'll get the dates out. Amazing season 4 kickoff though. First 2-3 shows are pretty fire. I just gotta tell you that. Wait till you see them. But I cannot wait. This weekend I was able to get a couple more guests I talked to, so things are gonna be looking good. So I can't wait. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. There will be a show, so wait for the announcement tomorrow. It's coming.
The Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver is brought to you by Arlo Revolution. As we close the book on another chapter, remember, music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. Next week, Aaron connects more melodies and memories with other fans and the artists they love. Thanks for being a part of this musical journey, and we'll see you next time on the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver.